Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. I'm Berney Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward children. I believe that our country's best days are still in front of us, but if those best days are to come, we need to change the direction of the country now before it's too late. I intend to talk about important topics every week in hopes of helping to improve our country and our way of life. Please like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's get started. Dear friends, this is episode 30. One of the good things about having my own podcast is that every so often I get to say what's on my mind for all to see. Episode 30 will be such an episode. For those of you who haven't heard, I've decided to run for Congress. I filed to run for Congress in Maryland's District 3, where I actually live. That's Anne Arundel County and Howard counties with a sliver of eastern Carroll County. This is my home turf, and here I intend to provide leadership to the good folks who feel detached from the gridlock and bitterness of Washington politics. Someone once mentioned to me that there's an increasing number of folks who are politically homeless and seeking refuge with a leader who will have their backs. I am that guy. As your next congressman, I will join the ranks of leaders who will boldly champion solutions focused on efficient government and business-oriented approaches. Here are some ideas that I plan to champion. I will prioritize people over politics. With 21 years of active duty military service, I have the experience to fight for Maryland's families. I will champion solutions that address our changing economy, that amplify the voices that have been left out of politics, and tackle tough issues like immigration reform, term limits, and fiscal responsibility. I am committed to prioritizing American security and reining in excessive spending on overseas military missions that do not serve our national interests. It's time to take a reality check on our resources and focus on building a stronger, more secure America at home. I will promote prosperity through federal policy reforms that foster home ownership and prevent predatory lending and boost small business opportunities. I will advocate for tax cuts, transparent allocation of federal funds where possible, and the growth of domestic manufacturing to strengthen supply chains and create jobs. I will defend our children. I am dedicated to ensuring federal interventions that help depoliticize our schools and put education back in the hands of parents and teachers and local communities. Our classrooms must prioritize education over politics, ensuring the best opportunities are available for our children and their future. I will push for higher child care tax credits and federal investment in addressing critical school repairs and revitalization. Our republic is threatened by career politicians. Some of these people have lost their constituents' best interests. I will support a constitutional amendment for term limits, 3 two-year term limits for House members, that's 6 years, and 2 six-year term limits for senators, that's 12 years. Aligning with the original intent of elected officials as public servants, not making it a lifelong career. Maryland's 3rd District deserves a representative who values its residents over partisan politics. Too many of our politicians are wedded to partisan politics. I'm running as a Republican, but I'm a regular working class guy. I'm a person who had to earn every good thing that came my way. I tell you now, if you earn a W-2, if you know what a 1099 is, if you work for a living and you're tired of seeing your hard-earned tax dollars go to causes that don't benefit you or your family, then I'm your guy. Don't worry about partisan politics. Just know that in 1987, I took an oath to support and defend you and this country, and that oath is still valid after all these years. And I doubt any of my opponents, potential opponents, can say that. With John Sarbanes dropping out of the 2024 race, regular folks have a unique opportunity to change the game. We can evaluate what is working, and we can evaluate what's not working. And we, the citizens of the 3rd District, get to choose. Shall we continue with the status quo, with the endless foreign wars, with the dwindling public education, with the increasing cost of living, and with the encroaching crime, with the status quo? Or will we strive for something better? In 2007, when John Sarbanes was first elected, the national debt stood at $9 trillion. Today, after his failed leadership and budgetary decisions, the national debt has ballooned to $33 trillion, with a trajectory towards $35 trillion. John Sarbanes is a contributor to the issue, and his failure to control spending has led to a $24 trillion increase in our national debt. I would venture to say that if he's replaced by another career politician or another lawyer ready to compromise our future, it'll be business as usual in the 3rd District, with you continuing to foot the bill for programs that you don't like and you shouldn't have to pay for. Who will help restore our country to prosperity? The status quo is helping to bankrupt our country. As for me, who am I? Well, I've defended our country in various military roles, to include the 9/11 attack. I was in Iraq. I was in Afghanistan. I was in the Ukraine, and other hot spots in defense of our country over the last 35 years. For 13 years, I was a civil servant, walking the hallways of the National Security Agency, the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Cybercom, and other agencies in defense of my fellow Americans. I've done about everything from deploying to combat zones to helping to direct space operations to working in cybersecurity to helping to manage billion-dollar budgets. In 34 years of defending America, I have done it all. I know my way around the federal government like few people ever will. Been there, and I've done that. I have a desire and a background to help my fellow Marylanders. I won't be walking into Congress like a novice. In my last job, I was part of Secretary Mayorkas's DHS senior staff. I know where the bones are buried, and I won't have to be led around as a freshman congressman because I know the people on the staff. If you want to know where I stand, check out my Loyal Opposition podcast every week that you're listening to right now, where my guest and I talk about issues of importance to working Marylanders just like you. Lastly, I am a husband of 35 years. I'm a father, and I'm a grandfather. I want to see a better future for all Americans. I'm here to serve the strong, not the privileged. Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Liberty Arise Media, Fallback Productions, and other podcasters. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast and to this channel. Be sure to get your copy of my new book, Black Values Matter, available on Amazon or as an ebook on Audible or Apple Books. And remember, it's okay to disagree, but if we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility from ourselves and our fellow citizens. Thanks for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. See you next week.